every time I create a YouTube video, I used to spend 40 to 45 minutes in Canva designing a thumbnail for it. I would need to think about the right concept. I would need to think about the right text that should be minimal and should come on the thumbnail. And then finally, I have to also think about the pose that I should take a photo of myself that should be put onto that particular thumbnail. So I built an n8n workflow that automated the entire thing for me. Now you upload a video to YouTube, add the video ID over here in this Google Sheet, and the workflow does everything. It pulls your video transcript, analyze the video is actually about, generates SEO optimized title, description, then creates a fully branded thumbnail using Google's Nano Banana Pro with your face and relevant pose on it, your brand colors on it, the 3D icons, all this working seamlessly. No Canva, no Photoshop, no freelancer, just one click, and 90 seconds later it gets uploaded to your Google Drive where you can download them, all based on your brand colors, all with different poses as per context of the video. In this video today, I'm going to show you the entire step-by-step process of how to build this workflow so that by the end of this lesson, you are able to go back with a workflow that helps you create professional YouTube thumbnails with your own brand guidelines as well as your photo or any avatar on them. As you can see, the workflow has about 27 nodes, but I'm going to break down the entire process as I always do into 5 different logical layers and explain each layer, what it does, why it is important one by one so that you don't miss any detail whatsoever. I am Dheeraj. This is GenAI Unplugged. Let's go ahead and build this together. Now, before we start building, let me walk you through this entire workflow, what it does at a high level. So the first stage is the queue stage, where I just showed you that I have this Google Sheet where there are serial number and video IDs present of my YouTube video. Anytime I upload a video, I upload that video in an unlisted mode. I get the video ID and I paste it over here. This is more like a queue for us or a job queue for us where there is a status column that says whether it is scheduled, new upload, or thumbnail created. So anything that is new upload, that is our job queue. So this is where the next video for which thumbnail needs to be generated is fetched from. The second stage, I call it transcript state, where I'm using Rapid API to extract the transcript of the video that is uploaded on YouTube. As you are aware, as soon as you upload a YouTube video, after some time YouTube automatically generates the transcript for it. For that, I'm using Rapid API in order to fetch the transcript that has been automatically generated by YouTube itself. However, that auto transcript has errors. So what we do is ASR cleanup. ASR is automatic speech recognition. When YouTube automatically generates your transcript of the video, it has errors. For example, whenever I speak this n8n, it is not going to catch n8n. It is going to write n8n, n8n, or n8t. There are so many different variants of n8n that it produces. So I have to clean up all that so that the final transcript does not have any sort of incorrect spellings or incorrect word in it. Next is the SEO brain, where AI analyzes the entire transcript which has been cleaned up and generates the optimized titles as well as description as well as tags. But above all, it generates a thumbnail context that is required further down the line to create the thumbnail prompt and generate the image. Next thing that we have is the thumbnail prompt. This is where the thumbnail prompt gets created once we have the thumbnail context or the video context from the SEO brain, and this whole thumbnail prompt has your brand rules, the pose, the reference images. So this is the stage of the pipeline that is composing your thumbnail, that is acting as a director how your thumbnail should look like. And finally, we have the image pipeline, where the Gemini 3 or Nano Banana Pro creates the image, and then we upload that image to our Google Drive and mark the Google Sheet that is there, that the task or the job has been completed successfully. So the entire workflow is divided into these 5 stages. I wanted to describe it so that it becomes clear when I start diving into different parts of the workflow. Now let's get back to our workflow on n8n instance. So here you can see that I have a workflow called YouTube thumbnail generator. You can create anyone that you like in your n8n instance, be it local hosted or be it on n8n cloud. Here I have added a manual trigger, but you can always add a schedule trigger, or you can add a webhook trigger if you want to integrate this workflow with any of your content platform or content OS pipeline or any other system where you can send the video ID to the webhook and the entire workflow gets executed on demand. But we have integrated to our Google Sheet, so you can also use the schedule trigger. But right now for this demo purpose, I'm using the manual trigger so that it becomes easy. The next thing is the Google Sheet node. Let me open this and you can see the configuration that we have over here is it is connected to my GenAI Unplugged Google account. If you have not set up the credentials for Google, then you have to set up the credentials for Google. Then I'm using the resource as sheets within the document. Then we have an operation of get rows, which is going to fetch the rows. This is the sheet and I'm going to link the copy of this sheet so that you can replicate that sheet and follow along as well. And then the sheet one is there. If I go back to the sheet, so this is the sheet one. So this is the entire Google Sheet, but you can add multiple sheets. So this is the sheet one that we have selected in the workflow. And what we are filtering is we are filtering on the status column with new underscore upload. So as you can see over here, I have various statuses. So scheduled, new upload, thumbnail created. So what we want is we only want to fetch those videos which have new underscore upload, not the ones either they are scheduled or thumbnail created, because in that case we might be creating a duplicate thumbnail for a thumbnail that has already been generated, but we don't want that. So that's why the filtering is there. So that's the only setting that you have to do in your Google Sheet node. Now moving forward, what I have done is I have limited the amount of videos that it fetches to just one. So we are going to execute this one by one so that you are also following along. So let's click this execute step. It is going to fetch all the videos that are there with new underscore upload. And then I'm going to limit them to just one. So if I execute this, it is going to fetch the topmost one or the topmost record. So you can see that you can either select first item or you can select last item. I have selected first item, so it has selected the first item that has come through this filter. Now the next node is the YouTube node that you can configure. Again, you have to configure your YouTube credentials over here. If you have not set it up, you can click on this, create new credential. It is going to follow the similar process as you have done for any Google account. Then resource, what we are going to do is video. As you can see, there are many other resources as well, but we are interested in fetching the video. We want to get the video and the video ID is $json.videoid. And what we are doing is we are getting all the fields. This star denotes that I want all the fields, but you can select like other details as well. If you want like just particular set of data for a video, you can select that using this field section of it. But for now, we are interested in everything. So I am just putting star over here so that everything comes out. So when I execute this, you can see that I have the kind, e tag, and this is the video ID. You can see that this video ID matches over here. So it has fetched the details of the video that we are interested in. And as you can see, the title is already there. So this video is already published. So that's why you are already seeing a good title over here. But as soon as you upload a video, it could be like a default title that would be coming up. There could be a blank description or some default description that you might have set up. That might be coming up because it is just an unlisted video that you have uploaded. But for this one, because it is already there on my YouTube channel, that's why it is fetching the finalized title and description only. If I scroll down over here, it has thumbnails, channel title, and everything else. So now we have the video details. Let's close them out. So now I have an if node where we are checking whether the video is listed or unlisted, because we are only interested in unlisted videos, because that is how we are going to fetch the transcript of a publicly available video, but not publicly published. So unlisted videos are those which are only available on YouTube network. Anyone with the link of an unlisted video can view the video, and YouTube can process an unlisted video. And because we have to fetch the transcript of it, that's why we have the unlisted video over here. And that's why I'm checking whether the video is unlisted or not. If the video is not unlisted, we ignore that. So for example, over here, we are going to execute it. In the final version, you are going to connect this true node to this and delete this. But because I have already a video that is not unlisted, rather published, that's why I have connected the false branch. But in your case, when you download this workflow from the link that I'll provide, you are going to connect the true branch, or you will see that true branch is connected, not the false branch. In order to demonstrate, I have connected the false branch for now because it is going to do the same job. Now comes the part where we are fetching the transcript of the video that is uploaded that is unlisted and transcript has been generated by YouTube. So you have to wait for some time, about 30 minutes it takes to generate the video transcript, like YouTube generates the video transcript. Now I'm going to open this note. Here I'm using this YouTube dash transcriptor from Rapid API Marketplace. So this API lets you get like about 50 to 100 API requests per month on a free tier. That is okay or sufficient for me. If you have to go on the paid plan, I think it is of $10. If you have to mass generate the transcripts, then you can use that plan of this. I'm going to provide the link of this API. Next thing is the authentication. So how do you authenticate with this particular API? So what I have done over here is there are two options to it. One option is that you can specify this header auth token right away in the headers over here down below in the node setting, but I have not done that. Why? Because I want to reuse this particular Rapid API YouTube transcript somewhere else in some other workflow on my n8n instance. Then what do? I have to repeat those steps or repeat that configuration for each such node. So what I generally do is for all such things or all such APIs, I create my own generic credential. So you can see if you select this generic credential type, there are three types. There is none, there is predefined credential type, which we generally use, right? And then there is generic credential type that is based on these types of authentications like basic auth, bearer auth, custom auth, digest auth, header auth, auth 1, 2, and query auth. So generally most authentications out there would either fall under header auth or they will fall under the bearer auth. Or for a simple systems like maybe like example WordPress, you would have basic auth where there is a username and a password. But bearer auth and header auth tokens are mostly common. So this API uses header auth. So when I select this, then you can come over here and create a new credential of header auth type where you can have a name and the value. Generally, that is how these header auths are configured. And what I mean is like, let me close this, let me edit this one, and I can show you that this particular API expects the header as x-rapid API-key, and the key that I have got from the API authorization is pasted over here. Then I have named this particular authentication as Rapid API YouTube transcript authorization or authentication, and then I have selected it in the header auth. You can see that for my own content OS pipeline, I have also created a similar authorization and I can use anywhere in my entire n8n instance for any workflow. Now it says send query parameters. That is what we have to do. And using these fields is what the next thing is. Name is the video ID. So here we are going to send the video ID to this particular API and the language is English. That is what we are going to send. If I come down below, you can see that the Rapid API host, this is where you are basically sending your query. This is the header parameter that is expected from it. And then the content type we expected to application/JSON. If I execute this step now, we are going to get the transcript of the video. So you can see that it has provided us title, description, and it has provided all these languages are available, but we have fetched for only English. And then you can see the transcript is down over here. You can see the transcript is starting from here. And at the bottom, it's like going to show you an entire transcript as well. So this is like based on the timestamps. But at the bottom, if we keep on scrolling, let me just get down over there. At the bottom, you would see that this transcript is available as a whole blob text in the transcript as text field. So this is what we are interested in. Now I'm going to close this. Then I have the cleanup ASR. So this is the second phase. Like I said, the first phase was all about these 4 nodes, fetching the video and filtering whether it is unlisted or not. And then the next stage started where we are basically getting the transcript and now cleaning up the ASR noise. So as you can see that I have a basic code written over here that cleans up all this. So what it does is you can specify for n8n all these instances. If you are finding any type of this misspellings or corrections, you have to correct all these words with n8n. That's what it does. Now, if you have to add another type of spellings, you can just say, for example, for future Azure. So these are some of the misspellings which would get replaced by Azure word over here. So that's a very simple piece of code. If you are not interested or if you are not familiar with code, you can just leave it as is. If you want to add more of your ASR noise words, then you can add it with this example that I have provided over here. Now let's come back. Let's go back and let me execute this. Now it is going to give us a script that is completely free of ASR noise. At the bottom, the transcript variable that I showed you is now going to have a transcript free of these incorrect spellings. Now let's close this. So we have completed the second stage as well. Now we are entering into the third stage of the pipeline, which is more like the brain that we had, the AI brain. And that is where this node, which is the basic LLM chain node that I have, that is connected to a Google Gemini model, chat model. So I'm using Google Gemini 3.1 version over here. You are free to use any other model. If you like to use Anthropic, Sonnet or Opus, you can use that as well. You want to use OpenAI, you can attach the model to this particular simple LLM chain node of n8n, and pretty much it will direct your prompt or queries or completion to that model. Right now I am using Google Gemini. So I'm going to open this simple LLM chain node over here, and you can see what I have configured is there is a user prompt and there is a system prompt. This is the key over here. So what it does is, you are a lead YouTube video strategist for GenAI Unplugged. The goal is analyze the transcript to produce search optimized metadata and a visual creative brief. This visual creative brief is important because this is the one that feeds the thumbnail concept. So that is what it generates, and you can see that it has like for SEO discoverability, there are few guidelines over here. Then for brand voice as well, I have configured basics of brand voice over here, but feel free to configure your own brand voice completely over here. Then headline text generation, there are some headline text generation rules that needs to be there. There's secondary text generation rules that I have defined. And then these are the output instructions that we want. We want a title, which is like SEO optimized. We want like a description. We want tags. We want hashtags. And then you can see this visual outline, which is or visual context. That is our thumbnail context. So I need a video title. I need content outcome promise. So whatever the transcript is suggesting as an outcome promise, maximum 4 words, the primary benefit overlay. For example, auto sales bot. Feel free to fine tune this prompt as per your needs. What are relevant tools and apps that is basically talked about in this particular video. And then content type, whether it's a tutorial, case study, strategy, mistake fix. There's a status ready for design, and then like secondary text suggestion, whether there should be some sort of a subtitle to it or not. And then the contents additional context, which is like visual metaphor, brief description, leaky bucket, assembly line, before and after state, or thumbnail hook. So that's what the thumbnail context we are going to feed in order to generate the image prompt. So first step is generating all this visual context, thumbnail context, and SEO optimized description, as well as the title that we can use for our unlisted video. Now I'm going to execute this. This is going to take a little more time, about like 30-35 seconds. That's what I have seen. In general, it depends upon the load or the traffic on the Google API as well. So you can see that the response is received. It is coming under the output node, and title is the SEO optimized title, description is the SEO optimized description. Then there are tags to it, then there are hashtag, and the thumbnail context, which is video title, n8n tutorial, automate blog and social media post, full AI system. It's saying content outcome promise is n8n content bot. Again, you can fine tune your prompt. Maybe you don't like this word content bot, you want to provide much more examples into this prompt, you can do that. Relevant tools, you can see it says n8n, it talks about OpenAI, it talks about Google Sheets and WordPress. Content type is tutorial, status is ready for redesign, secondary text is step by step. So this is probably the title or subtitle that may appear in the thumbnail that we are going to create. And then like is visual metaphor, it is saying then industrial assembly line, a Google Sheet row enters the n8n node and splits into WordPress logo and social media icons. So you can see over here that the concept of the thumbnail, it is going to be provided by this particular brain as a visual metaphor, which is going to be fed into the next step, which is going to create the image prompt for us as a part of next phase of the pipeline. Then before state is manual writing, after state is auto publishing. Thumbnail hook, watch a single spreadsheet raw turn into a formatted blog post automatically. So that's how it has refined or fetched the insights from the transcript of this particular video. Now I'm going to close this. So then I have a set node over here, which is fetching all this information. So I'm fetching the content title, content description, content outcome, relevant tools, content type. So we are just fetching all this information and putting it here, and I'm going to like just extract. So it's just the extraction of the relevant fields which are required for rest of the n8n workflow that we have over here. Now we are going to close this. So I have an AI agent node over here where we are generating the full image prompt that is going to be fed into Nano Banana Pro so as to generate the image out of it or thumbnail out of it. But first we have to create that thumbnail prompt or image prompt, and this is where this agent node is going to help us. So again, you can see that I'm using the Gemini chat model. You can use Anthropic chat model or OpenAI chat model as well. But over here, I'm going to use Gemini for this example. I have a memory connected and I have a structured output connected over here. We'll come back to this later on, but here let's open this and let's see what we have. So for the configuration, we have just source prompt over here, which is defined below. This is the user prompt and this is the system prompt. So what is more important is the system prompt, because in the user prompt, all we have is generate a thumbnail for this video. The video title is there, video description, the core promise, all those details that we set in the set node just previously to this particular node. So I'm just inputting all these details in the user prompt. The meat of it or the heart of it is the system prompt. So I'm going to explain that to you. Here, if we open this up, you can see that there are certain set of task details at the top. So analyze the video topic, determine 3 video thumbnail concepts, select the concept which has the highest CTR potential, then select the best pose and expression, always positive and confident. Write a detailed image generation prompt that utilizes Gemini's 3 superior text rendering and multi-model understanding. Output the structured JSON. So right now we are just generating the image prompt. Please note that in mind, that first we have to create the image prompt and then we have to call with the help of that image prompt with all the input reference materials like our background image, background details, the photo of mine or the reference shot that I want to use of mine or my avatar or your avatar, what you want to use. So all that needs to be inputted as a part of next steps. Over here, we are just generating a prompt which would get wrapped up with all that information. So bear with me for a while. Here, the task instruction is just to evaluate multiple concepts and then choose one single them that helps us get the highest CTR potential. And so that is what AI is going to do behind the scenes for us. Next section is the brand rules. This is what we want it to never violate. So all these are like what color lighting should be there, composition should be there. You can see that I have 3 layers that are defined, which is like layer 1, layer 2, layer 3 and layer 4. And then there are visual elements, the typography that I want. So you can see that I want to simulate the brand font that I use, that's like Monstrat Bold. I am specifying the colors that I use as a part of my style guide. So you can fine tune this particular system prompt based on your brand guidelines. So this is very, very important. And then what I'm doing is I'm giving it pose and expression examples. Always positive and confident is something that you should definitely have it over there. So here I have like pointing to text, cross body, pointing to text, open hand, open palm, presenting, thumbs up, stop hand. You can keep on adding to this pose library as you want. Finally, I'm asking it the output format over here, which is like thumbnail concept, selected pose, pose rational, headline text, secondary text, icons needed, and image prompt. And at the bottom, you can see I'm defining the exact image prompt structure that I want it to define. So create a YouTube thumbnail video and the background should be this. Composition and separation is this. The person, the image reference. This is very important because here we are using the reference image too, which we are going to input as a reference, and that should always be source of truth. And you can see that I have basically put all these rules or strictness in place. That negative constraint is also there that does not modify my feature details, my glasses, my beard, or my bald head, right? All these details should stay consistent with all those thumbnails that get generated. And the text is like overlaying the text, and finally how the icons and the style should feel like. So that's how the final image prompt should look like. And if I run this node now, let's see what the output is. So you can see that the output says thumbnail concept, the automation assembly line, selected pose is there, pose rational is there, why it chose this particular pose, and then headline text, secondary text, icons needed, and the image prompt. So the complete image prompt has been generated as per the instructions that we had given it and these concepts that it has used. Now our image prompt is generated. What we have to do is, you can see that I have couple of Google Drive notes over here and this reference avatar to base 64. So what Gemini API expect or Nano Banana Pro image API expect is to send the images in base 64 format. So for that we have to first fetch the image. So first I have to fetch my person avatar. So you can see that in my Google account I have a file which is set to download, and this file name is this. This is what I want as my person or my image to be used by the Google Nano Banana Pro to turn into different poses as per the image prompt that has been just generated previous to this node. So here I'm going to execute this step. It is going to fetch and get that image avatar. So you can see this is the image that I want. You can see it is completely different. I have my Ladakh decoded book already over here. This is a pose with my book that I authored last year. So this is the base reference image that I want for myself for image model to use. Now what we have to do is, in the next step we are just converting into base 64. So I'm going to click on this. So this is nothing but you can use this node move file to base 64 string. This is like an operation where you are converting the node into different formats. So I'm going to use move file to base 64. And if you want to read more about this particular node, so you can come over here, extract from file. So what it is doing is it is extracting from this file. So it is in data as an input. Here you can see input binary field is data and the output field is reference underscore avatar. So this is going to put the base 64 into reference underscore avatar variable for the next particular node to process or rest of the pipeline to process. So we have fetched our person avatar. We have converted it into our base 64 string. Now what I want is my background as well. So I generally use a brand background. So if I open this up, let me show you this. So this is like a background that I want to use. You can specify either the background image or you can even specify just background colors and you can get rid of this particular reference image. But I want to use this background. So I'm going to like first fetch it, and similar process is like then we are going to convert it into base 64. So right now it is fetching it. It took some time because workflow is getting a little heavier. As you can see now it's like showing 2.3 MB data. The earlier image was also in MBs. So the workflow is getting heavier and heavier. Thankfully, I am on my Oracle Cloud instance, which has a lot of memory. So it is not going to be an issue for us. So next thing, like I said, we are going to convert this as well as base 64 string. So this is pretty much straightforward. Couple of Google Drive nodes and convert the images that you have fetched into base 64 strings. That's all what we are doing. Meanwhile, as it has started taking some time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save some money over here and I'm going to open this and pin this, just in case we have to restart this again, or I have to refresh this again. So let me open this and let me pin this as well. So both the LLM responses now are pinned so that we don't need to basically go ahead and, in fact, like I should like do this as well, because this is going to save one API call of that rapid API, YouTube transcript API as well. So I have like pinned all these three nodes. Now if something happens, we can refresh it and then can resume where we left off. So we have all the detail now to make the Google Nano Banana API call. However, what I'm going to do is simplify some things for you by using this set node, where I have inserted this image prompt over here. This is like a wrapper prompt. I'll come to it. This is where we are finally creating the prompt that gets sent to the Google Nano Banana Pro. The earlier prompt would get merged into it with the reference images that we have created. So for the reference images, you can see that I have a reference brand image as a variable and reference avatar over here, right? So these are just set variables of the base 64 string for this particular node. Here what we are doing is, if I open this up, you can see I'm providing reference images to the guide generation. Image 1 is brand background. Image 2 is source subject, identity anchor. Critical instructions, identity override. You are strictly forbidden from generating new person based on text description. For the image 2, you must act as a compositor, not a generator. So this is an important instruction that you can give to Google Nano Banana Pro, that it is not generating the images that are there, rather it is acting as a compositor, where it is using the reference images and composing the parts of the image, not generating the entire image. So this becomes critical in order to maintain the identity that you have for rest of the workflow. Next is the logos. So we want to render the logos high fidelity vector icons. So again, we are reiterating over here. And finally, again, I'm reiterating very important constraints. And in between task and details, we are feeding the prompt that we created earlier. So this is the original prompt that we created earlier. That's why I have introduced this set node in the middle, so that this finalized image prompt gets fed into the Google Nano Banana Pro. Now let's close this. And this is the API call generate thumbnail, where we are making the call to Nano Banana Pro. So you can see the model is Gemini 3 Pro image preview, generate content. This is the URL where you are going to make. I'm not using the native node of n8n that is there, because it does not allow me to provide the reference images, because I have to send the reference images data, which is my brand background as well as my own picture. That's why I have to use a custom HTTP node and make a custom call. But the credentials that you are going to create in order to call the Nano Banana Pro API is same, like whatever you have created already in your n8n instance, you can use that. So here you can see that authentication, instead of now none or generic credential type, I'm using predefined credential type. Then credential type is Google Gemini Palm API. So this is already there provided by n8n. You have to select it, just search it up and select it over here. And once you do it, like all you need is the host and the API key. So this is the host that you have to specify, and the API key you would get it from your Google AI Studio. You can generate the API key over there and paste it over here. That's all pretty much it that you need in order to create a Gemini API account credentials. So once you have done that, you can select this in the HTTP node. So this configures your authentication, and then the body, you have to send the body, and the body type is JSON. Specific is using this JSON, and this is where the set node comes into play, because this makes this whole request much easier. I'm not doing anything inside this particular request or this JSON which can complicate things. Now here just I'm referencing the variables that we have already created. So as you can see that the text is where the prompt goes. So here we are specifying this image prompt, and I have this expression which removes the unnecessary fields or brackets or things that are there. I'm just providing the text or string based prompt at the end to Nano Banana Pro. So that is important. So the text field contains your prompt. Then you have inline data, which is MIME type equals to image PNG, and data is the base 64 data that has been converted. So this is what we are referencing over here, and that's why I had that set node field, so that that data can come over here. And then the second image is like our reference avatar. So both the images have been sent. Make sure that you are sending the right order or referencing the right order. You can see image 2 for me is reference avatar. Image 1 is brand image. Here you can specify what modalities you need. I just need image, and here you have to specify the aspect ratio 16:9 and image size is 1K. I'm happy with 1K. You can go to 2K and 4K as well if you want, but for thumbnail 1K is okay. So I'm going to close this. So this is how our API call is structured, and what I was telling was, let me close this for a while. Let me open this and execute this for now. Now it has started taking some time to execute these nodes because the whole images are loaded into memory. These base 64 strings are pretty heavy. They are in MBs, not in just few KBs or bytes. So you can see over here, the reference brand image is image 1 and the reference avatar is image 2. If you miss this detail, it is going to produce some incorrect or inconsistent results. So that's why it is important that you specify the right order and right images where the images are being sent to Nano Banana Pro. That's why I created this set node to simplify the request that is going in. So we have talked about the HTTP request node for generating the image thumbnail. So let's go ahead and generate the image. So the image that is going to come will be in the form of base 64 only. It is not going to provide the image in the binary file, rather base 64 string. That is what again we have to convert it back. All right, so you can see that the data that is coming up over here is like, I don't want to load the JSON view because the image data that comes in base 64 is very heavy. So from the schema, you can see that data is coming in candidates, candidate 0, content, parts, part 0, inline data, MIME type, and data. So the MIME type is like image/JPG. Data is this. This is the base 64 thumbnail that has been created. Now we are going to close this and we are going to extract it. In the next set node, what I have is just a simple expression that is going to extract just the image out of it. So this data thing that you are seeing over here, all the way from candidates to this node, this is what this expression does. It extracts just the data and output, so that we just have to play with the output in the image result. So this is the image result that we have got. So that's a simple expression. To do that, I'm going to execute this. So it has fetched the image result. I'm going to close this. Now for rest of the workflow, I'm going to execute all the way till the end, because every time I run one node, it is going to take time as it loads everything in the memory. And now we have 3 or 4 images which are loaded in the memory with all these nodes. So that's why it takes time. So I'm going to just explain. So this basically node just says whether the image has been generated. If I open this up, whether the image result exists or not. If it does not exist, it is going to retry creating the thumbnail generation again, and then until we have the image successfully generated, it is going to continue trying or retrying it. I also have a retry over here configured in the settings too, so you can see that it has retry on fail 3 times. It's sometimes the Google API might fail. You may not have like sufficient credits. The API key might have expired. So those intermittent issues can be avoided. But of course, it's not full blown error handling over there. But basic error handling is there in the workflow right now. Next, like I said, thumbnail base 64 to image. So now the base 64 image is coming in image result, and the image that we want in the output field should be put into data field. So if I execute this, the data.image would be there. Then what we are going to do is upload that thumbnail. So you can see that input data field name would be data. That's from the previous node. And the file name set content parameters.item.json.content title. So we already have the content title, the video title over here. I'm setting the video title as the name of the file name. I'm using my parent drive, and I have a parent folder of YouTube thumbnails where this gets generated. So you have already seen that folder over there. I just showed you earlier as well. So this is where all the thumbnails gets uploaded. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over here, and then I'm going to close this, and I'm going to show you the rest of the 2 nodes so that we can run the entire workflow once and for all. So I'm going to just connect this over here as well. Let me open this one. So what this particular node is doing is it is providing a writer access to anyone. It is optional for you whether you want this permission or not. I want this permission to work in my setting because my workflow is connected to my content OS pipeline that needs access to these thumbnails on a publicly available URL so that they can help me preview it in the content OS app. But feel free to skip this node or deactivate this node if you want to just keep the thumbnails in your Google Drive and you are the only one who are accessing it without any external app or so. Last node is where we are updating the status of the thumbnail into the Google Sheet. So you remember that this is the Google Sheet that we are maintaining and the status is new thumbnail upload, and this should create it as thumbnail created because the process has been successfully completed. So that's what we are doing at the end. So what I'm going to do now is, because every node takes a lot of time because of those base 64 images in the memory, I'm going to click on this. So this is going to run all these pending nodes, this one, this one, this one, and this one, and it is going to have a new image uploaded into our Google Drive folder. So you can see the thumbnail created status has been updated. If I click on this close and we go back to our Google Sheet, you would see that the video status has been updated. If we go to the library over here, if I open this up, you can see that content bot, a thumbnail has been generated. Again, this is just an example over here, but you can see that all these thumbnails that I have generated are with the help of this content workflow. Sometimes you might need to run it twice to just get to the level that you want or the quality that you want. So all I do is like run it twice for the same thing. Like go back to the Google Sheet, change this setting again. As we don't like it, let's go back and let's make it like new upload again. And now let's come back again over here and let me just clear this execution and let me like just zoom out a bit. And what I'll do is like, let me get unpin. Let's unpin this as well. And let's unpin this as well. Now let's execute the entire workflow for a couple of more thumbnails and see how the results are coming. Let's click this. So as a recap, you can see that it is reading from Google Sheets queue. It has like pulling the video transcript. Then it is cleaning up the speech recognition errors. Then using AI to generate SEO optimized titles, description tags. And now it is basically generating the full image prompt that is required based on the visual outline that has been created, the SEO title and SEO description that has been created. You can use those 2 things later on. For the thumbnail concept, it is not required. Now it is fetching our person avatar and the reference background of our brand and converting them to base 64. Here it created the wrapper prompt and now it is sending the request to the Google Nano Banana Pro to create the thumbnail that we want. Once generated, it is going to parse the base64 string. If the image has been generated, it is going to do that. It is going to proceed. So then it is going to convert the base64 image back to the thumbnail, the image form, upload the thumbnail to our Google Drive and mark the status. So if we go back again, so you can see the status of this particular video that we reverted has been set to thumbnail created. And if I go back to the library over here, you would see the image would have been generated. So now you can see that a new image has been generated. So these are the quality of thumbnails that you can generate if you start fine tuning these prompts based on your need. Structure is there, the entire workflow is there for you to use. It's up to you how you fine tune the brand guidelines as well as the other parts of the prompt and the images or reference structure that you provide to it. So if you get value out of this video, do give this video a like and channel a subscribe. If you want to see more such videos, do let me know in the comment section. I'll be happy to create such videos that you require on n8n or on Claude Code. Don't miss my series on Claude Code Masterclass or n8n full course that is out there free for you. Bye for now. I'll see you in the next video on this channel.